Okay, everybody, welcome. Thank you for your patience. Sorry for the delays. It appeared to be working. So, right, bandwidth optimization in responsive web design. My name is René Krijveld. I'm a Joomla web developer since 2004. Oh, it's going too fast. I work for DSD Business Automation and my own company 2 days per week. I'm specialized in responsive web design, run content-based web applications, complex RS forms, and Joomla web server setups. And you can reach me on Twitter, Skype, and Facebook. My life outside Joomla, because I do a little bit more than just Joomla. I love running, I play drums, and I do training with Mila, and that's a Bracco Italiano. It's an Italian hunting dog. This is her. Tomorrow I won't be here, and I have my first hunting exam, so it'll be exciting. Before we go on, I'll have to say a little bit the disclaimer. The solutions presented here, they work for me. They might not work for you. Try experiment with it, use my suggestions, and before you do anything, back up, and back up again, because you never know what happens. Okay, responsive templates. Who in the audience here builds responsive templates? Cool, a lot of people. Good. Based on what CSS framework do you build your templates? Bootstrap? Foundation? Custom?
Right.
Cool. Do you build yourself, or do you buy a template and then customize it for your clients or for yourselves?
Yes.
Both. Okay. Well, I personally built all my templates from scratch using a blank template. Really good tool. It's got Bootstrap inside. It's got Foundation if you want. So you can choose whether what CSS framework you want to use. The most frameworks of two well-known frameworks at the moment is Twitter Bootstrap and Foundation. They're very widely used. Both have their pros and cons. But there are much more CSS frameworks out there in the wild. There's HTML Boilerplate, Responsive Grid System, Titan, Groundwork, Base. If you Google on CSS and responsive frameworks, you get a whole list of frameworks. So there's much available that you can use for your project. Media queries are used a lot in CSS3 nowadays. It just applies CSS rules based on the viewport resolutions. I've got some example code. First line says, if your resolution is no wider than 600 pixels, then apply this background color to the class. The second example says, if your screen is at least 600 pixels wide, then apply another background color. And the third example just shows if your screen resolution is between 600 and 900 pixels, you can apply this background color. So it's based on the resolution of the viewport. Often there are special CSS classes to hide content at a certain resolution, and Twitter Bootstrap uses responsive utility classes like hidden phone or hidden desktop, and Foundation ZERP uses other classes to identify the width of the screen or the viewport. There's an advantage on it. You can easily hide content on certain devices based on the resolutions. There's a usage, for example, in the template code, or as a module class, you can add space hidden-phone, and it'll hide that element on the resolution for a smartphone. There's a disadvantage on it. The content is only visually hidden. All content is still downloaded to the device, and that's unnecessary use of bandwidth. I can demonstrate it in a little example. I have here an example website. It's built with Twitter Bootstrap, and as you see, there's a slider here with a lot of nice images. And if I reduce the screen resolution, you see the slider automatically is reduced. It's still on the screen. And if I would want to hide this slider on my smartphone, then I can simply add a small addition to the code. Here is the index.php of this template. And if I look for the slider, that's here, section class is slider, and it loads a module with a module position called carousel. This is a Joomla template. And if I simply add here hidden-phone, and save it, and go back to the template and refresh the screen. What you'll see then is if I narrow the screen at the smartphone resolution, the slider is gone. But the content is still there, because if I look with Firebug inside the code, then I can see here my section class is slider. And you see it's grayed out now, so it's hidden for the view. But the content in it is still very much there. I see all the images there. So it means it's really not hidden. The content is still used. I can also show that when I measure the amount of space used or the bandwidth used. If I look at the document size, you will see that the size of this page is 1106 kilobytes. So that's just about 1 megabyte to display all the information. If I narrow the screen, the slider is gone, but if I check the document size, it's still 1106 kilobytes. So there's nothing's changed. So if a visitor with a mobile phone would see this web page, he would still have to download this 1 megabyte of data. That can be a disadvantage. So these media queries, they are based on viewport resolutions. And modern iPhones and iPads, they have really high resolutions. The iPhone has a resolution of 1136 by 640 pixels. And an iPad has an iPad 4 has 2000 by 1500 pixels. So my conclusion on media queries is, if you want to save bandwidth by hiding certain content on tablets and mobiles, doing this based on the viewport might not be the best solution. It might be a better option to hide certain content on tablets and mobiles based on the browser and the device that the website visitor uses, right? So what you can do to determine this is the user agent. And the user agent string is a unique definition of the browser and the operating system. In HTTP, the user string is often used for content negotiation, where a origin servant selects suitable content or operating parameters for the response. So based on the device, the server might send other data to the device. And the user agent can be determined on the client side and on the server side. On the client side, you can check what user agent is loaded with JavaScript, for example. And on the server side, you could check that with PHP. And then it's becoming interesting. I want to show you a small demo with user agent detection built inside Joomla. And I use two tools a lot within Firefox. I use the web developer toolbar. You've already seen it. And I use user agent switcher. First thing I would like to see is a website for an athletics association. It's built with Twitter Bootstrap. And I have separate layouts in one template for desktop, tablet, and mobile. This is the particular website. It's got a slider as well. It's got some informational image at the top. It's got news messages with images in it, banners. So it's got quite some information. If we check the document size, we see this website of this page costs us 811 kilobytes of data. It's not that much, but it's quite an amount. Now, what happens if I let my browser act as if it is an iPhone? To do that, I can use the user agent switcher. And by clicking iPhone, I can have my browser simulate it is an iPhone by sending the user agent string that's normally present in an iPhone. And if I refresh the screen then, what you'll see is the same website, but presented in a different way. And if we check the bandwidth that we've used, document size, that's 362 kilobytes. So that's a reduction of over half of the size. Another example that I can show you is a Publicana website. That's the website we've built for our default Joomla distribution for our clients. It's also built with Twitter Bootstrap, and it also has separate layouts for desktop, tablet, and mobile. And if you check this website, you can't see it right now because it has a large background image, but due to resolution, it's not visible, but it's there. It's got a lot of information. It's got informational images. And if we refresh this screen also for mobile, you see a different presentation of the same content. The size that we've used for the mobile is 420 kilobytes. And if I switch back to the normal desktop view by setting the default user agent and refresh the screen again. Sorry. Then the document size is 869 kilobytes. So here we see that by switching to a different device, there's actually less data sent to the device. Now, how did I build this and use this in my template? There's a PHP library available that reads the user agent on the server side. It's available on GitHub, and it's called Mobile Detect. And it can detect if the device is a desktop or a tablet or a mobile, but it can also detect if your device is running iOS or Android, or if it's a BlackBerry. It can detect a whole lot more. There are regular updates for new user agents, because when a company builds a new mobile phone, then a new user agent string is defined. So there are very many regular updates for this detection library. So how can we use it? It's really simple. Inside your template code, you simply load the mobile detect library. That's the first line. And then you set a variable saying detect is new mobile detect. So this variable can then be used to determine whether it's a mobile or a tablet. But you can also add a simple line of code that says the layout is, and then the variable, the value tablet or mobile or desktop is stored inside this variable. And then I can load a module based on what kind of a device it is. That means if your device is a mobile, you can simply exclude a slideshow module. It's really, really simple to use. But what about other extensions? When loading Mobile Detect in your template code, the test is only available inside your template. Wouldn't it be handy if you knew everywhere, so in templates, but also in components, plugins, and modules, what kind of device your visitor has? And to use that, I created a system plugin called User Agent Detector. It's available on GitHub. You can download it for free. And I regularly update it, and it's a system plugin that uses the Mobile Detect PHP library. This plugin sets a session variable with the user agent layout, and it's available for Joomla 2.5 and 3.0, and I think within a week it's also available for Joomla 3.1. The code use is very simple. Inside your template, or your module, or your component code, or your plugin code, you can read a session variable, and a session variable is being set with the value of the user agent. So the first line here is session is jfactory get session. With that, I open up the session variables in memory, and in the variable UA layout, I store the value of the user agent. And then you can test inside your code if the user layout is a desktop or a mobile. And based on that, you can enter the code. Well, the user agent layout has 4 possible values. It has the value desktop, or tablet, or mobile, or bot. That can be very interesting because search engines index your website by sending a spider bot to your website. There are many spider bots available: Googlebot, Bing, Yahoo Slurp, Amazon bot. There are many of these spider bots available. So spider bots are also actually website visitors. And each spider bot has a unique user agent. So Mobile Detect PHP library, the library that I found on the internet, it can identify spider bots, and then it will become easy. Template experiment. I've created a template experiment. This is some extraction of template code that I've written. At the top of my template, I set the session variable UA layout. And if you look at line 10, I can say if the user that is visiting my website is a Google bot or a spider bot, I can not load CSS and JavaScript. So normally I would load CSS and JavaScript to display my template, but if it's a bot, I will not load CSS and JavaScript in the header. Then in the body, I can check if the user layout is not a bot. That's a test at line 15. Then we normally load all HTML and Joomla template codes. But if it is a spider bot, then I will load all normal Joomla content, like the component and all the modules, but I'll display it in a source-ordered manner. That means I first load the component, and after that, all the modules. So I'll be presenting the same content as the normal website, but in a source-ordered variation. Caution, use it at your own risk. I'm not responsible for accidents. What we did is we've created a few websites with this Google bot detection, and based on that we've presented the content in a Google optimized way. And we've reached some spectacular results. The organic results went up from 15% of all our visitors up to 50%. So we had an increase of more than 35% of organic searches, and that's quite an increase of our visitors. Now I can demo the spiderbot detection. This is the same athletics website. It's got everything as usual. Let's check the information of the document size. The document size is 809 kilobytes. Now what if I simulate that a spiderbot visits my website? Suppose Googlebot comes by, and what does the website look then? It looks like this. There's no CSS loaded, there's no JavaScript loaded, but all the content that's on the normal website is still presented to the visitors. Let's see how much size this is. It's only 28 kilobytes.
Also navigation?
All the navigation is there. This is the normal content.
Okay.
This is the complete menu. I'm loading all the normal content, and I'm loading all the modules. If we go back to the normal website, here is the normal menu as a drop-down menu. Here is a sort of events list. Here are results of people doing running exercises. Here is a news block, and here is the latest news. Now let's check how it looks with the Google Spider. This is the introduction text. Here are my normal messages. Here are the two messages at the top. Here is the menu. Here is the events module, the results module. Here is the latest news. So all content is there. It's just stripped. I've got one image left, which is the favicon. I've got no scripts, no style sheets. So everything is reduced to 28 kilobytes. So this loads really, really fast. The thing is, and I'm not that much of an SEO expert, would we do something wrong regarding to Google? Because we're not loading JavaScript, we're not loading CSS.
Yes, you are.
We are.
You're presenting a different site.
Mm-hmm.
In effect, and one of the things that Google evaluates when positioning your site is the load speed.
Mm-hmm.
Load speed for the user, not for the bot. Additionally, you won't see the preview of the site in results.
But that's skipped from the results anyway, nowadays.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's dangerous territory because it can work for a while and then it can really backfire.
Yeah.
Because you're presenting different, and that's against Google guidelines.
We're now running it for 2 months, and we've seen this tremendous increase of traffic, and we're better ranked in Google. But I'm not really sure whether we're on a thin line here.
You are.
You are.
Also, if you take it strictly, you're on a thin line.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they also say, okay, you're not presenting something completely different. So
They aren't that strict.
But this technique could be abused, really abused, right? So
I know, you could present really different content.
Yeah, and at that point, you're walking on dangerous ground.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can use CSS to hide links, and so Google will check the CSS that's you're not hiding stuff
Mm-hmm.
with background colors and things like that. So
Mhm.
it will also read your CSS. So I'm wondering if it sees you as trying to hide things because it knows you've changed the content
Yeah,
to that
yeah.
user agent.
Well, if you look strictly at the content, without the CSS, for example, you would determine that we're loading exactly the same content. We're loading exactly the same modules. We're loading exactly the same menus. So,
Maybe not the same links though. And that's
yeah, maybe, but we are. In fact, we are.
of course, but someone else might not using that same technique.
Yeah. Well, the way I view it is, I see it as the same technique as presenting different content for a different device. I'm presenting the same content or leaving out things for a mobile. So how would that then relate to Google? Because there's a normal Google bot that visits your site, but there's also the mobile bot. Does Google determine the differences between these two?
Yes, I think they use that to look at site speed, and because you get a bit of benefit for having a mobile optimized site.
Yeah. Same goes with the normal Publicano website. If I recall the information about the document size, this is 870 kilobytes. If I look at the Spiderbot version, it's got the same text. Only we've left in only the header image, the same navigation, and the size here is also dramatically reduced. It's 40 kilobytes with no style sheet and no scripts. So we've got the same results and we've got the same tremendous increase. Theo?
One of the examples from the official Google Webmaster Guidelines that is referenced in the clothing article is serving a page of HTML to search engines while showing a page of images or Flash to users.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually references what you're doing as one of the non-accepted guidelines.
Okay.
That's what I said.
I was just looking for the exact reference.
Yeah. So with respect to SEO, this might not be a good thing to do. Another thing you could use this technique for is at the Dutch Joomla days, we had an intense discussion with Antje Radka, who is working on accessibility. People with disabilities might use a screen reader. You could determine that your site is being visited or being read by a screen reader because that's also got a unique user agent. And then you could present content optimized for screen readers. This way you can serve out a web page better for people with disabilities. So there's plenty of use for the technique that I've demonstrated. I agree that for Google we might be on a thin line here. We've had good results so far, but I think it's usable, but it's tricky. Okay, that was it. Quite fast.
Does
Yes.
it support caching?
Sorry?
Does it support caching?
Yes, it does. A colleague of mine has tested it with caching, and that works without a problem.
Okay. Was my only question at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, because it just really increased performance very much.
What was the name of the library?
MobileDetect.php. It was first supported by Google, and then a developer took it over and is further improved the code. Hans?
Will your slides be on the slideshare?
Of course.
Okay.
Today.
Then I don't have to write them down.
Yeah.
Do you have to update, when these updates come out from the Mobile Detect library, you have to take it and update it on your website?
Exactly. You could do two things. Look at where the plugin code is on your website and simply overwrite the Mobile Detect PHP. I've also created the plugin in a way that you can update it using the Joomla updater.
Do you have to give users a link to the full version
Of what? Of?
of the site? So if I want the full browser version on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
do you ever provide a link for that?
No.
So that's
You would have to somehow incorporate into your template an extra URL variable stating that I overwrite the fact that I'm determining the user agent and then serve out the desktop version anyway. So it can be done. It needs a little PHP code, so it's not that difficult. But
One thing that drives me nuts is being on my iPad and get a mobile site. Where,
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
with no images and.
Yeah. Well, for the sites that we've built, we've created mobile versions as well, or tablet versions as well. If you get back to the website of the athletics agency, it's got a drop-down menu which shows pretty when you hover over it. You can't do that on an iPad. So if I look at the iPad version of the website, like this, and refresh, then there's no drop-down, but I've created a split menu for it. So then here we have the, if we go to sports, for example, then here are the sub-options. So I've just presenting a different menu based on whether it's a tablet or not. So it's still usable for tablet users this way.
I would say it's more usable for everyone.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, compared to the default version, the drop-downs work, but we're presenting the submenus in the left side anyway. You see here are the sub. But it can be handy because the menu can be quite deep. If you go to the fourth or the fifth level, it might not be too handy to use the left side, and then you can use it as a drop-down menu.
When you're building these websites for paying clients, yeah?
Exactly.
And are they asking you for responsive, or are you telling them you should have responsive and I'll do that? Do you charge extra for that?
Yeah, we charge extra.
Do they test it and sign off the project as being complete, including all the responsive stuff? Because I tend to find that clients say, we want it to work in mobile, and then they don't want to hear about it again. And they never check it, they don't look. And I think what often happens, the web developers, I see so many websites that are badly done on mobile.
Yeah.
And I just, a bit like Seth, I just want to see the desktop version, even on my iPhone often. So I just assume that it's badly done or it hasn't been updated properly, it's missing stuff.
Yeah. Well, we try to get a handle on analytics or some way of statistics so that we can see how much percentage of the visitors uses a mobile device. And often it's going up to 20 to 25%. So they're potentially missing out on presenting the content in the best way for a mobile device. So then it's a good solution to present a responsive website. But we always do it as an option in our quotes to our clients.
Extra money for the responses.
Yeah, they might decide that they don't want it, but we present them the benefits.
I have this still with one customer. I can show him also with Google Analytics that he's dropping out all mobile users because his website is just not working for them. You just pinch and whatever you have to do to get something done, and it's not really working. And I can show him he's losing, I think, about 75% coming from mobile devices, but he still chooses to do nothing.
Last week I had a discussion with a client who said, well, what's the problem? I can simply squeeze my phone and I can see the website as well. Well, if you like to do that, but most users don't want to do that. They want the content presented in a better way.
So do you ask potential clients their Google Analytics for both desktop
No,
and
this
mobile?
is a customer for about 4 years. And since about 2.5 years, I tell him he should change something, and also on a regular basis, like every 3 months, every month, I show him what dropped out. And well,
some people will not that. So
yeah, just me, the funny guy.
Are you always still serving content images to Google? It's not the background images, but if there's an image in an article, does Google still get that?
Yeah, and we've even noticed that if you name the image with interesting information, it gets ranked even better. We've had on our Publicano website. This is the Joomla version. On the old version, we had a lady here with a phone by her head, and the image name was called phone.jpg, and all the time we got in our search result, this phone picture kept popping up at the top. That was quite interesting. And then in this new version, we've removed the image, but we've created much better names for the images, like a name really almost as the same as the header of the article. And we see that there's a tremendous increase in organic results based on the better names of the images. So we found that quite interesting. We didn't know that could be that good of a result.
Well, that's one thing that concerns me. If you serve different sets of content, really I want content parity, because I want all of my content to have some value, some intrinsic value. And if I start taking out bits to different for different devices, then I must be losing some of that value somewhere.
Well, I'm not quite sure, because if you look at this example, these are quite big images. Why would you serve them out to a mobile device?
Why would you serve them out to the desktop user? Because if it's useless, it's useless. Just leave it as.
But the desktop user, it's not hurting for the desktop user, because he's usually on a how do I say, on a normal internet connection, not on a 3G connection.
But the image is, as you said, not for any good for a mobile user. Why would it be any good for a desktop user then?
Well,
If it takes him 5 milliseconds to wait for it.
let me correct myself. I said not good for a mobile device. What I meant is not good in a way that it uses a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, but I'm mostly on my Wi-Fi at home, so why are you deciding that I'm on the road on a slow bandwidth device?
Plus, if I'm on the road using my laptop, using my tethering 3G connection for my phone because I've got no Wi-Fi available, I'm on a desktop, but I don't want to load those images if they're not useful.
Yeah. So what we would need is somehow of determining, it's not there yet, or I think there are some developments in that direction, is to determine what kind of what the speed of the connection is, and based on that serve out something yes or no.
You just know if the user wants it, and you can never find out if the user wants it. So
Yeah.
shouldn't you just decide whether it's good for the website, for the page to be there, or just leave it out completely on whatever speed or browser or machine you're using?
With this particular device, my client said, I don't want this slider on a mobile device, but you don't have to do it. I just present a way of hiding it on a mobile device.
Sure. My question is, does it add value? And if it does add value, then I don't want to remove it for any group of. But if it doesn't add value,
Exactly.
I remove it for everyone.
Yeah. True.
It's a tough call.
That's true. Yes.
I don't know the name of it, but there is a JavaScript library out which is actually testing the load time of a 50 kilobyte image, and after that it can evaluate the bandwidth the user is on.
Yeah.
So, but I just heard it one time, I found it interesting, I forgot to take a note what it was, and also I had not the time to do it, but maybe somebody else wanted to check that out. So.
Yeah, there is some the development in that direction. Coming back to the slideshow, what I'd like to say here is you can, if you want to hide content based on the device, and you want to use techniques like hidden dash phone, then it might be better to use the plugin, which so that it's not being downloaded instead of just hidden and still being downloaded. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Sure.
Okay.
Are you a big fan of it? Do you use it, or do you just use it if your clients demand you to?
We do it when our clients demand it for.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not a choice of yourself to hide stuff on other.
No.
Yeah, you need a solution for your clients, and it's a better solution than just hiding it with CSS.
Yeah.
Well, there are other scenarios too. Maybe you want to show one design, I mean the same content, but maybe a different design on a smaller screen. So you hide one version of the design on the mobile site and show a different design of the same content. So it's
HTML wise.
HTML, CSS, whatever. It's just looking differently.
Yeah, but
on the smaller
CSS
screen.
wise, you can just do with media queries.
Sure, but I mean, if you want a big image for a design element on the big screen, and then you want the same type of
the same image
but
but then
a smaller image, you need to, for instance, if you use K2, you could use this type of technique to load a smaller version of the image and a bigger version of the.
What we also used a lot for is when you have large background images, we don't load them on mobile devices. You can have a beautiful background image with that's a heavy image on a desktop. But like you're saying, when you're on a desktop PC on a 3G connection using tethering, then you might still have the same problem.
Yeah, then you need to check the connection anyways on top of it.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an interesting problem.
That's true. Any other questions? Then I'd like to thank you very much for your attention.